Hi guys, welcome back to the Partyology Experience. I'm here today with Emma. We're on Emma's wedding journey and we're talking everything to do with her wedding. And it's been a week since the wedding, or just over a couple of weeks actually since the wedding. Geez, it goes quick. I can't believe you're actually married now.
I know.
All this build up, all the hype, all the tension, all the nerves. It's done. You're married. Mrs. Nicholson, congratulations.
It's a bit weird. Everyone keeps saying, how's it feel? I'm like, exactly the same.
Yeah, that's good.
That sounds horrible, doesn't it? But it's just exactly the same. Well, we've been together for a long time, so it just feels the same. But it's nice. It sounds horrible, over.
Yeah.
But we had a great time. I want to redo it all over again. Maybe not right now. But
I don't. Oh, no.
Marcus is a bit tired, but we had the best night of our lives.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we wanted. So, yeah, it went well.
So what is it that you actually wanted and what happened? Tell us all about it. So what did you want to begin with?
So I wanted it to be pretty casual. We didn't want anything too major. We didn't want all the formalities. We didn't want sort of all that sort of thing. We wanted everyone to have a really good time. So, and exactly what everyone had was a good time.
Yeah.
Everyone left and they're like, oh my God, that was like the best wedding I've ever been to. And
but why did they say that, do you think?
Well, I think it was a lot to do, and we'll get into this more as we go into the podcast, but we did a lot of really awesome entertainment, I think, that really added to the sort of the vibe and the atmosphere that we wanted to create. It's all about the experience, as we always talk about here, and that's exactly what we were trying to do. And we did things on purpose to make sure that happened as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
And so what are BJ's thoughts of the wedding?
Same, he's sort of with me. He didn't really know exactly what we were going to do decor-wise, so he was pretty impressed when he walked in. He was sort of like, I didn't know where to look.
He didn't know anything that was happening,
no,
did he? Apart from organising his suit, he really didn't have a clue, does he?
He had a rough idea. Like, I spoke to him about how the room was going to be set out a little bit, but yeah, he had any sort of expectations of what the room was going to be. So when he walked in, he was like, oh my goodness, like this is completely different to what I walked into a couple of months ago. Yeah,
which is what we wanted. So
it's good.
Yeah. And so let's start at the beginning. You had the what happened during the day, first of all?
So during the day before the wedding?
No, on the day of the wedding, what did you do? Did you go and party with your bridesmaids? Obviously you got your hair and makeup and all that sort of stuff done. Yeah, so we all stayed at my house on the Friday night, so just us girls. So there was 4 of us. So we stayed at my house, then we woke up in the morning. We had hair and makeup arrive at 8. We basically that whole time just spent chatting and you do nothing really during that time. You get your makeup and your hair done. The bride gets done nearly second last, so I sort of had nothing to do really the whole time. So we just chatted and sort of had food and that sort of thing. And then once your hair and makeup is done, then it's sort of all systems go, because you're then getting dressed, you're getting photos taken, everyone's taking photos of you. So I'm like a hairdresser, and the makeup artist was taking photos of me for their own content, and then I had to put my dress on. So it went pretty quick. So as soon as 3 o'clock sort of came, it was like, oh my goodness, we have 2.5 years. 2.5 years. Felt like it. Yeah. 2.5 hours until we actually get married. So we did a sneaky and we actually did a first look. So BJ and the boys came to our house and we sort of saw each other first. I know. Everyone kept saying that. It's all very traditional. Yeah. But we saw each other first, which I'm so happy we did, because we were both less nervous because we saw each other. And it was nice seeing each other just together and seeing each other dressed without anyone else seeing us, because I thought, I'm going to walk down the aisle and he'll see me at the first time as everyone else will. Yeah. So I was kind of happy we did that. Yeah. And then we had photos taken with all of us there. The boys had their car, because they had like a very flashy car. It was an old school car that had hydraulics, so it sort of bounced and stuff like that. So they were pretty excited. Yeah, they had all these cars following them on the way there, because they loved it so much. Yeah. So we did that, and then it was time to go pretty much. So the boys left first, and then we left about 10 minutes later. So I can report I was early to my wedding. Everyone said I was going to be late, but I was early. So as soon as we arrived, it was go time. So then the ceremony started, and And so how were you feeling at that point? Because you said you were nervous last week, or the other week when we spoke to you, you said you were feeling pretty nervous. Were you packing death on the day, or was it all right?
I was actually okay in the morning. I didn't have too much of an issue. I felt a little bit anxious when people would bring things up during the day, but besides that, I was fine. When we drove in, I was starting to get anxious. I was like, because I could see everyone outside the marquee and they were getting everyone sorted, and then I kind of drove down and had to get out of the car. And my mum was quite nervous too, so she kept asking me questions and changing how she was going to hold my arm. I'm like, Mum, just calm down, you're stressing me out. Yeah. So me and Mum had a couple of words before we walked down, just because she was a bit stressed as well. Yeah. So as soon as I got out of the car and I started walking, I was fine. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, this is happening. And then once I was in the actual ceremony, I walked down the aisle and I was with BJ, I wasn't nervous at all. It was really odd. Yeah. I was expecting to be really nervous, and as soon as I saw everyone's faces and I was up there, I was like, oh, this is actually not as bad as I was expecting. Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, so I was expecting it to be quite nerve-wracking.
Was BJ nervous, do you think?
He was nervous as hell. Yeah. I got to the end and he was like, his hands were sweaty. And I was like, oh, okay, you're completely opposite to what I was expecting to come down to.
Yeah, because he's such a cool cucumber. He's always,
so cool.
in control of everything.
Yeah.
And so,
well, when I saw him at the house, he was a bit nervous then too, because I could just kind of get his sort of body language. I was like, oh, you're really nervous. And I said to him when we were just together, I said, are you all right? He's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just getting a little bit nervous. And then I got there, I could see it was written all over his face. He was nervous. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I've been nervous for the last couple of weeks. Now it's your turn.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's good to have nerves. If you didn't have nerves, then something's wrong, I think.
I think that's true.
Yeah. And so what else happened at the ceremony? Anything else happened at the ceremony that was exciting that BJ wasn't expecting? Or
just something. Someone ended up walking down the aisle before I did. So we actually organised Marcus to be our flower boy.
Yeah. Hang on. Let's just tell the story quickly. So Emma and one of her bridesmaids, Brianna, decided ages ago.
We didn't decide. We saw.
They sent a video to me through Facebook or something of a flower man or flower dude. They call
What
them.
do they call themselves?
And basically, it's a full-grown man being the flower boy. And they sent it to me, going, "Oh, you should do this for Emma's wedding." And I jokingly said, "Yeah, I'll do that for Emma's wedding." And this was months and months before the wedding. And they then got in the head that I was going to do it, so they just kept talking it up. Yes, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do it. And so I stupidly agreed to do it. Which was fine. I had no problems with doing it. So I had a bit of I must admit, I did watch a few videos of what other people had done and had a bit of a practice in front of my family the day before, which they were just horrified and were not looking forward to.
I can imagine.
Especially my kids, my girls were like, I can't believe you're doing this, Dad. You're just going to embarrass us. So anyway, I walked down the aisle before Emma and we played Back in Black by AC/DC after we'd played all this nice wedding music for the rest of the bridal party.
Yeah.
And I think, well, after speaking to BJ after the wedding, he said it made him feel a lot better because he said he was quite nervous before then.
He was nervous, yeah.
And then, just seeing me and hamming it up and being a bit silly.
Everyone was laughing at you. He was laughing. He just did not expect you to walk down the aisle because everyone, even the groomsmen afterwards said to me, we were just not expecting. All of a sudden, we thought that they got the music wrong, and we're like, "Oh my goodness, Emma's going to be so angry."
Yeah.
And then when you came out, everyone was like, "Oh right."
Yeah. And so that was all fine, and so that made BJ feel a bit relaxed, which made me feel good to hear that.
Yeah.
The only issue that we had is I had a sash that said "Flower Boy," and I caught it as I was being silly and throwing out flowers because I had a little basket. There will be a video if you want to watch it. And I caught my sash when I was being silly and ripped it off, and so then I had to pick that up halfway down the aisle. So I wasn't happy about that because I'd practiced my little moves and stuff. But anyway,
stuff happens on the day. Hey?
Yeah, it all happened very quickly, but it just sort of as you say,
it did ease the nerves, and I think it was like the start of a really funny ceremony. Like there was parts where it was quite serious, not serious. It wasn't really that serious, but it was serious enough that we could get married. Yeah. But there was a lot of times when we said things that they would laugh because when the celebrant did all the saying that we're getting married and how we met and things like that. They also picked out the groomsmen, the bridesmaids, and she said things that were funny about each of them because we had already worded her up. And I think it they were all laughing and then everyone was laughing at them. So it sort of started the ball rolling for that. And then a couple of things that I said in my vows, everyone was laughing at. It was quite good. I think everyone thought it was quite funny because it can be quite serious ceremonies, and I didn't want it to be like that.
That's right. And we were lucky with the weather gods. Obviously, we decided that week to organise a marquee, which was a wise choice. It was a little bit windy, and the weather during the day was 1 minute was sunny, the next minute was bucketing down.
It was all seasons in one day.
Yeah, but luckily at sort of around that 5:30 when the ceremony was on, the sun had come out and the night was just fantastic.
It was so good. I was like, I was in my dress when a big thing of rain came, and the rain was running down my windows at my house, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is not good. And then I thought, nah, it's fine, we'll be okay. And literally half an hour later it passed and the sun was out and it was perfect.
Yeah, we were very lucky.
We could not have asked for better weather, and it was so beautiful how the sun was coming and it was hitting all the back of the clouds. It was perfect. Yeah,
so you had the ceremony, then what happened after that?
So we went straight down to the venue because, of course, me being OCD, had to see the venue before anyone else did.
Luckily, your boss had done a really good job decorating it.
Yes, so BJ and I ended up going into the venue. We were actually going to sign our paperwork, which we did in the actual venue, so that was sort of an excuse. We walked straight down the aisle, down into the venue, got to check out the venue because I really wanted BJ to see it too before anyone was in there as well because he hadn't seen it. So we both sort of walked around going, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is actually happening. It looked awesome, exactly what we sort of pictured it to be. And then we signed out paperwork, and then we ended up going and doing some family photos and then off to do our actual professional photos and stuff like that after that. So then everyone else was in the venue.
Yeah. And so then at that point, all the guests came down. pre-dinner drinks and a bit of food for the first few hours.
Solo artists playing. So we had a singer there on the day who was there for 2 hours. He was awesome. Well, I wasn't there to listen to him, but
he was awesome.
Yeah, Max will say that. Yeah, he was so good. And I think a lot of people said to me, we thought it was like a CD or a song playing. We didn't realise it was actually him singing. That's how good he was.
Yeah,
so
he was really good.
I'm really happy that we got him. And I think it sort of set the chill sort of vibes for the start of the night, which was nice.
Yeah.
Just something to walk into than just playing background music.
And as we said before, the weather was perfect. The sun was going down, and this venue, once you see the photos on our website, which we'll put up soon, and you'll see some of the videos, it looks out over the bay.
Yeah, it's on the water.
And to have a great sunset, we couldn't have planned it better, really, from that point of view.
Yeah.
It did get colder later on at night, but that was fine because we
Everyone was dancing.
Yeah, and we closed the venue up a bit, so it was, wasn't open to the elements, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
So, but you'll be able to see that sort of in photos and videos to come still. So. And then, so you guys then came in. What happened?
So we got introduced. So we were at the front, then came in. So we did a little walk in, and we had our speeches straight away. So we actually broke our speeches up into 2 because we thought it would be easier.
That's a good idea.
So we did 2. We did the bridesmaids and we did the mothers of the bride and groom. And then we went back to mingling, which I thought was a really good idea because us as bride and groom got some time to mingle with everyone, because at that point we hadn't really spent much time with everyone. So we did the speeches. The bridesmaids and the parents could relax then, and then we did about an hour or so of more mingling. Then we did the groomsmen, and then we did BJ for the last one. So we did that. So BJ announced we're doing our first dance, which I didn't really want to do because I just shuffled around the dance floor because I've got no idea how to dance.
Most brides and grooms do that.
But we just did that because we were like, we'll do it. So then we got to a certain part of the song. We grabbed our parents. So I grabbed my dad and BJ grabbed his mum. Yep. We did all that. Then people sort of came onto the dance floor, like couples and sort of things like that. So as soon as that song was done, which was about 4 minutes, we decided to have some dances, which BJ didn't know about, but he ended up finding out because he went through my emails.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you have a partner that needs to know everything but doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
So we had some Brazilian dancers come out with 2 guys that were playing drums. So they sort of basically, as soon as that song finished, they came straight onto the dance floor and we started playing that music. So everyone was like, oh my goodness. It was just like, they were all gobsmacked. I did watch my 91-year-old grandfather sit there watching these women wearing hardly any clothes. I thought, but someone better make sure that he doesn't have a heart attack.
Yeah, he did really enjoy it. He told me afterwards.
So it was really fun. It really set the tone for the night. So as soon as those dancers came out, it was high energy. They were dancing, they had the most amazing costumes. Oh, those dancers could dance. Oh my goodness. I was standing there with my nan holding her hand and she was just like, oh my goodness, what is happening? She's also nearly 90. Yeah. So they were having a great time. So as soon as that happened, we then started the dance floor from then. And the dance floor didn't pretty much end, did it? Well, Marcus was the DJ, so he would know. But it pretty much went the whole night. Yeah. So
I think the good thing about the dancers was they set the mood from the beginning.
They did.
And there was 5 of them plus the 2 live drummers, and the energy was really high from the go. And then luckily, yes, as the DJ for the night, along with Flower Boy, decorator, and wedding planner, and everything else, I managed to keep the dance floor high energy for most of the night, and it just kicked on all the way to the end, and then people still wanted to keep going at the end, which is always a good sign that you've done a half decent job.
Yes.
And the dance floor was full.
It was
all night,
it was pretty much full the whole. I think there was only one time I sort of turned around. It was maybe a little bit less because people were probably getting drinks and food and stuff, but it was pretty much full the whole time.
Yeah, they'd been dancing for a couple of hours at that point, so they were pretty tired.
They were all off dancing off the dance floor at one stage. There were so many people on there, so that's what you want.
Yeah, that's right. So it did go well in that regard.
It did.
And I think that with the dancers, they added great value because they were high energy, but people didn't expect them either. Normally for weddings you don't have Brazilian dancers with feathers and headpieces.
Well, you don't normally know, and all the colour
and stuff.
But to be honest, this sounds a bit odd, but it's probably the best money I spent from the whole wedding, and the wedding wasn't cheap either. And I think if I hadn't have had them, how different it would have been.
Yes.
So I'm really, really thrilled that we made that decision to do it.
Good idea, wasn't it?
It was.
And so many people afterwards speaking to them the next day and whatever said to me even that they just didn't expect that, and it's not something that they see at weddings typically.
No.
So
No, never. So it was definitely something. I think you need to do things like that because a lot of people do go to a lot of weddings. So you need to do something a little bit different because you don't want it just to be the cookie cutter. What's the saying?
Cookie cutter.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's right.
Wedding that you have all the time. So
Even speaking to the venue when I went back a few days later, I had to pick up some more stuff. And the function manager was saying what a great wedding it was, and it was, you know, they just don't do weddings like that with that sort of atmosphere. And I sort of explained to her that, you know, all the things that we'd done, we'd planned for a reason so that it did happen like that.
Yeah.
And we can't always, you know, guarantee that it's going to work like that, but because we'd planned certain things, it does then make people react and act in certain ways, and they did, and it just worked how we wanted. And you obviously, you wanted a party, and it was a party.
Yeah,
you know, so
it's not just you. You can't just expect it and not do anything to make sure that that's what happens.
That's right.
You have to make sure, and we had planned from the very beginning, and we made sure of it too. So there was lots of elements that we did, and we did things on purpose to make sure.
Even breaking up the speeches.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing worse than listening to speeches for an hour. Just it's a party killer.
Yeah.
So breaking those up, and it helps your mum and your mother-in-law, because they both did a speech together.
Yeah.
So they did theirs early, so they felt relieved, and then they can relax, and then. You know, and the groom and BJ speaking later on, he was a bit more confident, so he didn't have an issue with that.
Yeah, he was
and the best man, or sorry, not best man, one of the groomsmen, did a speech, and he was fantastic as well. So it was one of the weddings. I mean, I've played at lots of weddings over the years, over the last 20 odd years, and it was one of the only weddings where the groomsmen and the groom talked about how much they loved each other more than the groom talked about how much he loved the bride. It was just, they were getting more emotional about each other than they were
I know. BJ nearly cried when he was talking about his groomsmen. I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah, I am over here.
I said to him like a couple of days later, I'm like, so what happened there? He's like, I was getting emotional about the whole situation. I was like, oh, really? I said, I think you might love the bros a bit more than the women.
That's right. Than your new wife.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's all right.
That's fine. We know all that.
It was great, and everyone loved it, and there was lots of laughs, and people were crying as well, so that's always a good thing.
Everyone was laughing, crying. I had my brother as the MC, which I'm so happy I decided him to do it, because he was so funny on the night. Everyone was like, your brother is so funny.
Yeah, especially after a few drinks, he was warming up.
Yeah, he was telling everyone to go buy drinks and spend money on my dad's credit card.
That's right, and harass the DJ for requests, which he didn't want. Yeah. Anyway, so was there any issues on the day? It sounds like it was all perfect, Emma.
I don't want to answer this question because I wasn't there on the day, but from my point of view, there was no issues. We had a bit of an issue with the sound for the ceremony, which I kind of knew because I was sort of beside the marquee and I could hear it, but to be honest, it wasn't really an issue because me and BJ are quite loudly spoken, and so was the celebrant, so everyone could still hear perfectly fine, and I think they could hear it down the back. I didn't have anyone say that they couldn't, so it was not an issue, but those things happen and you just got to roll with it.
Yes. But no matter how much you want everything to be perfect, there's guaranteed always something's not going to be quite right.
Yeah.
And look, there was, from the decorating point of view, there was a few things that didn't sort of go as planned for us on the setup on the day, but I mean, nobody would have known that on the night. Like, it was just stuff that we wanted to do that we had to do a different way or whatever.
Or ran out of time.
Yeah, just ran out of time for a few small things, but I mean, nobody would have even known.
You would never have known.
Yeah, I mean, we went all out, so it was a long day. From a setup point of view, we were there at 9 and we finished at 3 the next day.
Well, so you did, yeah.
So it was a long day. But we had a good team of people coming in to help, and so that did make it a little bit easier, and lots of trucks of equipment, and then we had to go back and take out some more stuff on the Wednesday afterwards.
Well, it's because the venue wanted to keep some of it as well. They were so excited
to show it off to some of their other clients and stuff, so that was always a good thing. And the venue was wrapped. As we said, they thought the wedding was awesome, and very different to what they usually do for a lot of their other ones, which are a lot more low-key and just more sedate. Especially too because you had a cocktail style, so there wasn't a lot of sitting down and just eating for a few hours. There was still plenty of food. We did a big, massive grazing table, which, that'll be in the photos, and you'll be able to see all that.
Well, that went in a half an hour. That's how people went crazy.
But there was still food on that.
There was still food, but most of it went in a half an hour. People were just going mad for it.
Yeah, but then there was plenty of food coming around from the venue, so there definitely was plenty of food. From that point of view, so it wasn't less food just because it was cocktail.
No.
But it's something to look out for, I guess, when you're planning a cocktail wedding. Sometimes that can be the case.
I think sometimes it's hard. I did have a couple of people say to me they didn't get much food, but I think it depends on where you are in the venue as well, because you're moving around as well as the people that are serving the food are moving around. So you need to be, if you're wanting the food, making sure you're aware of where the food is, because it doesn't just go to one place and that's it. So we unfortunately didn't eat at all that night.
Yeah, that's pretty normal,
Yeah, because all we did was talk the whole night and just move around and stuff, which We ended up needing to order food when we got home because we were starving.
Yeah.
But besides that, it was, we didn't really know, we didn't think we were going to eat anyway.
And all your supplies did everything that you'd planned?
Yep.
Obviously the music was great and the entertainment was great. The flowers looked good, didn't they?
Flowers are awesome. Nat did a great job. I knew she would. And as soon as I walked into the venue, I was like, oh my God. Because I saw my bouquets before I got there and they were beautiful.
Yeah.
Then the venue flowers again were just a whole nother level. And I was like, this is just exactly what we wanted. Colour and, lots of vibrant sort of, pinks and oranges.
Being a tropical sort of theme.
It just really went with the theme and the style of the venue. So she hit it out of the park.
Yeah, and we left all the flowers for the venue to use because they used them for a few functions after the next couple of days after that.
Yeah,
so
well, why not? They might just use it.
Yeah, and they were happy to do that. So, and then the marquee guys from Better Events were fantastic. They
were. God love them.
Came in, did all their stuff on the day. I didn't even have to worry about it. So we highly recommend them. We use them all the time to do all our marquees. So thanks to Better Events for doing that.
Yeah, last minute, me ringing Lauren going, I need a marquee. She's like, I've already got it on hold for you. I'm like, I love you.
Yeah, that's what you want, isn't it? So, and then we had Nicole as our function manager on the night, which we talked about before.
Yeah.
And she did a fantastic job just doing all the little things and what was it, the candy buffet and keeping those things filled up and
just making sure everything ran smoothly. And she was always with me, making sure I had a drink or making sure I was happy. And she was awesome.
Coordinated all the dances.
She did a great job. Yeah,
and helped me out because doing the music's hard for me to do all the other stuff. So
Mark's needed a little PA himself.
So she helped with that sort of stuff, just running around, and so she did a fantastic job. So it went really well, didn't it, from that point of view?
It did.
And so looking back at it now, it's all over, it's all done. Is there anything you would change or do differently? Obviously you're happy with how the day went, but in the planning or anything like that? I mean, it can't have all been perfect. No,
and I'm not going to say it was all perfect. I think for myself, I probably would have started maybe getting most of the main stuff organised a bit earlier. As we said, I was working as well on top of that. I unfortunately was also renovating a house.
Yes.
So me and BJ stupidly we're at the end of our renovations as well, so trying to push that so it was done by the wedding as well. So I didn't just have wedding planning, I also had renovation. So in hindsight, I probably should have, and Mark is going to laugh at this because he's like, I told you so, I probably should have been doing more wedding planning in those weeks instead of doing painting and staying up until whatever time, painting walls and stuff like that. But it all worked out, and I just probably put some more pressure on myself that I didn't need to. So I think I should have organised a bit earlier, but at the end of the day, it was,
It's a massive job to organise a wedding, and even when you bring in all these supplies, and if you've got lots of money to help, get the help you want, it's a mega job. And even you work in events, so you already understand all that sort of stuff. But even working in a full-time job and then trying to organise a wedding is hard work.
And I actually said to one of my bridesmaids, I said, it's just going to sound ridiculous, and I said, it sounds weird me saying this, but I'm like, I do this as a job and I'm finding this really stressful. Like the first, probably 2 or 3 weeks prior, I sort of thought, how do brides do this with no help? Or are they just dealing with their venue and that's it? Like I needed to have, I had you to come to all the time. Like I know what I'm doing. I know what my supply is.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of work to do. And I'm like, I could have worked full time for 2 or 3 weeks prior just to make sure it was all going to happen and, what I needed. So it's a lot of after hours and it's a lot of work. So
yes. I think the difference is too, because we do it all the time, we put a lot more pressure on ourselves because we want it to be perfect, and we think of a lot more things than the average bride would think of. So they just do the general basic sort of stuff and tick the boxes of, yep, I've got a celebrant and I've got the suits and the dress and all that sort of stuff. Whereas we look at
every nitty-gritty,
every little aspect of it. And then the decor, obviously, we go to another level compared to a lot of people because of, you've got the resources to do that.
Of course.
So there was a lot more pressure from that point of view for us.
Yeah. It wasn't that it was hard. It's just, it's very time consuming. It can be, like I knew what I was doing and I thought it was a bit stressful. It's actually quite good to be on the other side.
Yes.
I think that the whole process for me is a really learning curve. I have a lot more, empathy, like I have a bit more
empathy,
for all those brides that are, a week out of their wedding. Not that I didn't beforehand, but now I have it to a whole nother level.
Yes.
Because I'm used to organising weddings, but I don't organise all the things like makeup and hair and celebrant and things like that. That's sort of done by the bride and groom. So it's not just what I normally do, it's all the stuff on top.
That's right. Yeah. You had to go through all that stuff as well.
Yeah, and I think it was a really good learning curve about how times work with hairdressers and makeup artists. I didn't really understand how that all worked, and it's nice to know those little things that you need to work backwards from the time you ceremony. Like, I didn't know any of that, so it's really good to learn. Yeah,
because you didn't have to worry about that.
No, of course I don't need to worry about that.
We deal with venues and decor and
planning people's weddings and stuff, not those sort of other things that the bride normally takes care of.
Yes, on the day, yes.
Yeah, so it was eye-opening.
Yeah, so overall it was a great experience then, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, no, it was definitely good. I think the only thing that sort of was the COVID. We decided very last minute, probably the first week of December, to still go ahead. Yeah. So we rushed it quite quickly. I only found my wedding dress on the 4th of December. Yeah, so I only had 3 months to go. So a lot of things were quite rushed, but I wasn't too stressed about it because I knew we'd get it done. So besides that, it went pretty smooth. Yeah, it was good. Good day. Well, it was a big day, but it was still fun. So I want to do it again. Me and BJ kept saying, let's do it again. I'm like, I don't think Marcus will want to do it again.
Yeah, we'll just do it. We'll go out for dinner next time.
I'm not getting married again.
Yeah, I still feel tired thinking about it. I know. We're looking forward to getting the photos and videos.
Yes, haven't got those yet.
Which we will share with everybody to see what we did, and hopefully everyone likes the work what we've done with that. So we'll share all that as soon as we can.
Of course.
But check out our website for that and YouTube channel. We'll have some videos and stuff. But so thanks, Emma, for sharing your whole wedding journey with everyone. It's a good insight for anybody planning a wedding, some of the things to think about. Maybe there's a few tips in there. There's definitely going to be a lot more tips coming from us in general about parties and weddings and events over the coming months, years and stuff. So stay tuned for more podcasts, and thanks for listening. Thanks, Emma, for sharing.
No worries.